What is going on, everybody? This is Coach Coleman, Jesse Coleman, and you are checking into Breakthrough Blueprint, the podcast, where we help you tap into your full potential. And on this week's episode, I have a young lady that we met. It was actually a year ago, not too far off of a year. We met at a real estate event that we were both at, and I- things happen for a reason, and we end up sitting next to each other at that event, and we were able to have a conversation, work through some things together, and that blossomed into an amazing relationship. Just seeing her growth from then to right now has been so amazing. And it's one of those things where when you see people growing, and as you're seeing their growth, you see that there's so much more ahead, like so many amazing things that's like it's just the tip of the iceberg. And that's how it is for her. Want to highlight a few things. She is the owner and co-founder of Signature Agent Services out of Colorado, where they help with transaction coordinated. And it's not just Colorado, like they are expanding across the country. That is something that's just dope. And then, like I said, we had the opportunity to teach together. So she came to Chicago and we taught a course called Quantum Leap together, which was amazing. And just again, being able to co-teach with her and seeing her in her element, seeing her getting comfortable in what she was doing, it was just amazing. So, without further ado, without all the talking, welcome to the stage, Savanna Campbell. How are you?
I am so good and so honored to be here.
Yeah, I just so you know how Facebook has the memories that pop up, and it popped up that not too long ago we were in Austin together last year, and you was just recently there for the same event, and I'm like, oh man, it's been a year since I met you, and again, like I said in the intro, just seeing your growth from that day when we were sitting at the table together having that conversation, and then our conversation now and the conversation we had last week, it's just you've came so far that it's just like it's just amazing to see. So have you had a chance to just take a step back? I know you've been so busy, and just give yourself grace and look at like, man, in a year I've came so far.
Yeah, I the best way I've explained it the last couple of weeks is the past year I feel like I've accomplished what I could have done in 5 years. Yet it felt like yesterday that I was in Austin with you. So it's incredible to see the growth. Honestly, kind of a little bit of a joke that I made at the end of last year for New Year's, as I said, 2024 was just the warm up, and lo and behold, I had no idea what that quite meant. So I would really say the last 6 months too have probably been some of the biggest growth opportunities, and just grateful for that.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where there's we in our life there's certain things that just switch that hit the switch for us
Mhm.
where something happened, we go to an event, anything like that, and then that shift happened for you. What was the shift to make that change for you to like, you know what, I'm gonna go this direction?
Yeah. So, a little bit of a backstory to fully answer that.
Yes.
3 years ago, I had my daughter, Miss Mabel Lynn, who is my absolute whole world. Yet, after having her, the pressures that I felt from society and just from, past friends, um, there was just a lot that came from that. And in full honesty, and I had mentioned this yesterday on this meeting I was at, was it was a little bit depressing. I wouldn't say it was like postpartum depression or anything like that, but it was just a lot of growth that as a new mom, no one explains. Especially if you're a working professional, you're going to get a lot of heat for that because I'm not home right now. I'm not home with my daughter. I am being purposeful in my work hours so I can create a big life for myself, for her, for my family. And some people just don't agree with that. And to everyone their own, whatever floats your boat, I'm for that, whatever you want to do. But for me, this is what I want to do with my life. And um, at the event we were at, which was Quantum Leap, which is a program that helps young adults figure out their purpose and mission in life, I realized that I want to help other young professional women and mom find their purpose. And really, once I understood my purpose and why I was actually put on this earth, I now wake up like I don't know how to explain it besides there is just this fire in my soul every single day, and I let it guide with the decisions. And yeah, that's been the biggest difference.
Gotcha. And and literally before we hopped on to um record the podcast, I was on the phone with a young lady, and she's having that transition now of making that change. And her big thing was, what are other people going to say? What are
Mhm.
their opinions? And it's funny that you just brought that up about the change you made. And I told her, like, hey, you have to live your life. You have to do what's best for you. Other people's opinion is not going to help you get to your goal. So that's what you have to focus on, and that's what you have to do. So by you saying that, it just more of a confirmation of, yeah, we can't worry about what other people are going to say or what other people are going to think, because at the end of the day, their opinions are not going to help us get to our goal. And a lot of times people that have their opinions, they're not doing anything with their life, so the only thing they can do is judge other people on what they're doing and what they're not doing.
Well, and to that point, I think part of it too is that like you need to have, your top five that you surround yourself with that are going to hold you accountable to your goals, and push you to be better, but support you in how you envision your life and your purpose. To me, I by building the company that I've built, it just so happens to all be moms that are on my team, and I'm creating an environment where they can come in and work and yet still be present with their kids, and just creating a community of support. And that's important to me. And some people just don't understand why I make that choice. Um, but I think one of the biggest lessons I have learned this past year is not caring what other people think. I have to do at the end of the day what is best for me, obviously taking consideration, obviously, like you don't, want to be evil, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but no, but that's right. And I think that's an issue that a lot of people deal with, is that they worry about how other people will think about it. Oh, if I decide to make this change, what are people going to think? If I decide that I am going to be a entrepreneur or working mom, what are people going to think about that? And it's like, their opinions, their thoughts doesn't help us get to the goal. It doesn't help us do the things that we want to do. So it's no reason for us to even, care about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think and to that point too, I ask myself sometimes when people put doubt on me, is it their limiting belief on themselves reflecting
Yes.
outward on me? Because I feel like sometimes people say things because it's a fear of theirs. And to another point of that too is that sometimes the decisions we have to make, we have to separate personal from business. And that's also been a huge growth opportunity. And you just address the conversation head on and say, this is, not personal. This is business right now. Can I have this business conversation with you?
Yeah, I love that. I love that separating business from personal. And a lot of times that be an issue with people we know, is that, hey, no, this is business right now. Like, this has nothing to do personally. I am in business mode. And when it comes to the people that's close to us, they have a hard time with that, because they look at you as just on the personal side, on the personal level, that they don't realize, no, this is a business as well too.
Yeah.
Right. So we're talking about motherhood. Let's stay on that a little bit. And what does motherhood mean to you, and how has that shaped your identity?
It's just me. Um, what does motherhood mean to me? Um, Gosh, that's a good question. I feel like it definitely changes you. I think, there was this perception that I thought of who I was going to be after having my daughter. I mean, you have kind of, 9 months to prepare. And every single thought that you think is not 100% accurate. Um, and I think the biggest thing in motherhood is giving myself grace when I feel like I'm failing as a mom, and just really kind of re-examining each day when I do have those feelings. And usually it has to do with because I'm swinging wide for work or something like that. But I think how it shaped me is honestly helped me draw better boundaries more than anything else. Um, she's an extension of me. I want to show her that whatever she puts her mind to, she can do. And honestly, she has helped shape me in the sense of being a better business person, being able to have more of those direct conversations and holding my boundaries, because I don't want people to walk all over her when she's older.
And I'm glad you brought that up of the boundaries, because that was the next thing that I wanted to ask you was, how do you protect your peace so you're able to show up with your family? So, and you created those boundaries. And for you all that's listening, again, I am very big on giving action items.
Mhm.
What are the boundaries that you're going to set for yourself? What are those things that you're going to set and say, hey, this is the line in the sand. Nothing is going to cross this. This is my standards. And if things don't align with that, I, for the sake of my family, for the sake of my mindset, for the sake of everything, I'm not going to let anything cross those boundaries.
Yeah. Um, First and foremost, if people are taking a lot of space in my brain because of their actions, with my TC company, we have chose not to work with agents before. Um, and vice like agents, you do the same thing. You don't work with certain clients because sometimes they can take up mind space. So if I'm going to have that mind space where it's too much that it's going to drag into my home life, then I really need to examine that. And that goes with people that work with us as well,
Yeah.
or like my team behind me. Um, Additional is being present for every single meal. No
Mm,
phone. A lot of us, our phone is our lifeline. Like that's where business comes from. Part of owning my company, I have to lead gen myself. And that means a lot of communication coming through my phone. And I am not perfect at this by any means. I actually started the intentional 90, where every day my phone has to be completely put away for an hour, and away. And honest, I've been doing it since Monday last week. So just a week and a
okay.
half in. And the clarity in my brain and how more present I am at home, because at night now, pretty much from 6:30 to 8:30, I'm not by my phone. And my little one and I are able to cook dinner together, and we just do things very purposeful. I have her in T-ball now. We do gymnastics, and we do the park every Friday for 2 hours. And I just make sure those time slots are non-negotiables in my calendar, and I'm present for those activities with her.
I love that. And that is something that I noticed about myself and that I even started to work on is that for the business that we're in, we're always on our phone. And
Mhm.
then in the evening when we want downtime, a lot of the downtime sometimes is connected to the phone too. And I
Scroll.
realized that, yeah, it's like during the day, calling people, emails, text messaging, following up on things. At night, oh, you know what? I'm going to get on TikTok and look at funny videos. And before you know it, your whole day has been consumed by phones. And I can't remember um who 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 said do this exercise, but I know Kyle Evans, who was on a guest on here. He said have your phone up as if you're on your phone and see how many times your child looks at you to get your attention.
Mm.
And you would notice that they are looking at you so many times just to get your attention. But we're so focused on our phone that we forget, that, like you said, that time with them is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, like that was big. And it's like nowadays, even with kids with their own iPads and readers, now it's their focus on that, whatever they're doing. We're on our phone and we're not having that bonding connected time that we had before social media and all those things.
Yeah. Well, and one part of it too is like Thursdays I do work from home and she's home also. And so I do get up extremely early to try to get a lot of that done. But there's stuff that comes out throughout the day that I need to handle.
Yeah.
And I just make sure I explain to her, hey, mommy right now needs to go into the room and I need to do this real quick. Do you want to play with X? Do you want your drawing stuff? So like I try to set her up for success. So when I'm doing something, she's not trying to get my attention because sometimes the way she's acting is in reflection of me trying to do something. And it's because I didn't set that expectation. And everyone's like, oh, she's 3. She doesn't understand. She understands. Kids
Let,
understand.
let me tell you something. These kids are little adults. They
They are.
understand and they're developing so much faster now. Like they totally understand what they're doing and what's going
Uh-huh.
on.
They
So
do.
yeah. Well, so what is the biggest mom win for you? And not business related, but what is that? And I'm gonna say so far
Yeah.
because there's so much more to come. You're gonna do so much more amazing things with her. So far, what is the biggest mom win for you?
Oh gosh. I've never been asked that question. Biggest mom win. I would just say seeing my daughter's personality bloom. She takes me out of my comfort zone because she'll say hi to everybody and start a full on conversation with them, ask them for their name and stuff like that. And just watching, like, this was actually something I shared in one of my videos that I do weekly videos for my page. And Mabel, we were at a store getting her some shorts, and her flip-flops were like a tad too big. She's in that awkward like stage where like one pair is too small but the other pair is a tad too big, and the lip of the shoe caught the ground and she like face planted, and I'm like sitting there like, okay, we're gonna get up and we're gonna scream in the middle of the store, this is gonna be great. And she got up and she looked at me and she goes, uh-oh, I fell. And I was like, you sure did. And she goes, but that's okay, we get right back up. And
Oh,
that moment, hearing her we get right back up, was like, okay, like I have important values in my life, and I know that I'm teaching her these really important things, because how many times have we fallen and we don't want to get back up, but because of her I get back up every single day, and I try to bring that positivity into our household, and it's amazing to see that she's picked up on it.
that is amazing because kids react how we react. Where
Mhm.
if she would have failed and you would have been like, "Oh no, my baby," she would have started crying
Yeah.
because they go off our energy. But you was there, you were calm, and she's like, "Uh oh, I failed." But so that is a big win. I
It
like
is a
that.
big one, yeah.
That was a big win. That's a big win. Uh, well, let's shift over a little bit. We talked about motherhood, personal life, but let's shift over a little bit into the entrepreneurial and business world. And you talked about it just a little bit, but what was that? What made you? What was the decision for you to say, you know what, I want to build something for myself. I want to be an entrepreneur.
I honestly feel like I've always kind of had that spirit. When I would have to ask my mom exactly how old I was. I think I was like 8 or 9 years old. Um, I was setting up like a stand out front of our house and selling the garden stuff that we would gather. Um, when I was like 12, 13 years old, started a horse treat company. So I think it's definitely always kind of been in my soul. I just never knew how to go about it the correct way. And obviously, like when you're 8, 9 years old, like people just come and buy it because it's the neighbors and they're like, oh, you're so adorable. Um, and so, flash forward to starting the transaction coordinating business, it just kind of was on my heart to start it for Colorado anyways, because I felt like it was a need for high end transaction coordinating, someone that becomes a partnership, not just a service to agents. And I went to Quantum Leap 7 years ago. And I feel like that's when it kind of started brewing that fire for me of wanting to do this. Um, and had an opportunity a couple years ago that went really well. And then I chose to break out on my own and kind of just live with my mission through the company. and started 20 months ago and haven't looked back. It's just been, I truly care about our agents. I want to see them win. I I love this industry, and I think agents are just so good at talking to people. Paperwork, not so much. And having my pre-law completed, I realized that this is just something that I can really help with. And I just, it's something I'm passionate about. And so why not start a business around it? And that's
Yeah.
just kind of really where it bloomed. But it's easy to be an entrepreneur. It's different when you have to be intentional each day and purposeful in everyday actions.
Wait,
And
wait, wait, wait. We can't go past that. For you all listening or watching on YouTube, write that down. It is easy to be an entrepreneur. You can go and get your LLC so easy, but it's not easy being intentional and purposeful about what you're doing on a daily basis. We cannot just, I'm not going to let you just flow past that. Like, that wasn't a bar. Like, you just didn't drop a bomb because that's so real. And that's why I wanted to stop you on that, because that is something for you all that's listening, that's thinking about jumping into the entrepreneurial world, or the people that's already in the entrepreneurial world but they're not showing up the way they should. It's easy to say you're an entrepreneur. You can go on a website and make a business card and put CEO and owner on there, but are you being purposeful and intentional of what you're doing every day as an entrepreneur? I'm sorry, I just had to stop that because that we couldn't just go past that.
well, it's just one of the things, and it's probably a slight pet peeve of mine, honestly, if we're going to be very honest here, is that I see so many people just start something and they're like, oh yeah, and honestly, they have the passion behind it. They know what they're talking about, but they're not purposeful and taking the correct actions to actually truly launch it. Like, they do really good for the first 3 months because they're excited about it, they're talking about it, they're accidentally being purposeful almost. But when it comes to actually putting the rubber on the road, they
It's
struggle. And it's hard. There have been days, it was either the end of last July, I'm pretty sure it was the beginning of August last year. There was a day, and like when you can't hold anything in your hands, everything just keeps dropping out of your hands, and like your shirt
yeah.
gets caught on the door handle, and like everything that morning just was not going right. And I had to have a hard conversation that day. We had an agent that decided not to use our services anymore. And it just was one of those days that, like, my computer was wigging out. Like, it was just a really difficult morning. And this all happened before 8 a.m. And then I go get my little one out of bed and I get her up and she's like acting super lethargic. And I'm like, what is going on? And I bring her upstairs, bring her into my bedroom because she's like kind of whimpering, crying. I'm like, what is going on? Pukes down the front of me. And I just dropped to the floor and just started crying. And I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is so hard. This is so hard. And the thing is that we're going to have those days, and it's okay to have
Yeah.
those days. I shut down for the rest of the day. I didn't accomplish what I was supposed to get done that day, but I made the intentional decision the next morning to wake up and at least just do one thing towards my goal. Like, I think that's the thing, is when you have those hard days, people are like, well, the next day, just, kill it, do your 20 contacts, do whatever you're supposed to do that day. Well, sometimes coming out of that, it's hard.
Yeah.
And so it's the one thing that you can do the next day to push it forward and then get back into the momentum of being intentional on your day-to-day schedule. But give yourself grace, because if I had continued making phone calls that day, it would have gotten me nowhere, because people would have heard my true voice of irritation that day.
And to that point, that is something, again, for you all listening or watching. Give yourself grace and mercy. Like, days, we're gonna have some fucked up days. Things are
Mm,
not. Things are not. It is not butterfly and roses every single day. It is not. Things are gonna go bad. And if you think about it, if the world was all butterflies and roses every day, that wouldn't last for long, because you need rain, thunderstorm to keep the roses growing. So you need that hard time to grow and be stronger. Same thing for us. And when we have those hard days, give yourself grace and mercy. Give yourself that contingency plan of, okay, I am going to take an hour, 2 hours, or the rest of the day off. And then, okay, like you said, what is one thing, what is the small steps I can do to get me closer to my goal the next day? And not
Mhm.
just jumping out the window like, okay, now I'm finna go do everything on my to-do list. And then if we set ourselves up for failure, and then if we don't accomplish that, now we're back in that bad mood because we feel like we didn't do what we were supposed to do that day.
Yeah. And then it turns into that continuous cycle.
Yeah, and we do not want to be in that cycle. Um, we talked a little bit about this, and we don't really have to go too deep in it because you did lay it out before when we just talked about it. But juggling mom mode and CEO mode, what are some tips that you can, that you're working on or you already have perfected to be able to be mom mode and CEO mode?
Time block. That's the biggest thing. And I know this is something that's consistently talked about, but until you actually start taking it serious and do it, it you'll notice the difference as soon as you do it. And I personally color code because that's just who I am. And I put in all my purple, that's my personal stuff, into my calendar first. Um, and something that has also really helped me is setting up my Calendarly, where
Yeah,
if people want to meet with me, I send them the link and it shows them where I have open times in my calendar versus feeling like I have to bend to what someone else needs. And granted, there are times that, like, there's schedule things we have to work on. But being able to say, these are the times that I have, and they can pick the best time for them that also works for me versus like going back and forth with 20 emails
yeah,
is super helpful. Um, and having that ability to have that switch over, like, what is your end of day wrap up? Because I feel like sometimes we just kind of end something, we try to jump right into family mode, and our brain is still cycling through a lot of things that need to be done the next day. So writing down, okay, remind myself about this tomorrow, check on what I'm doing tomorrow, look at my calendar for tomorrow, like have a routine at the end of the day that you walk yourself through. So that way you can close out the day, not having your brain think about what's about to come up tomorrow. And, oh, did I forget about this? That end of day wrap up will usually be like, oh yeah, I needed to send, that email out or put that calendar invite out real quick. You quickly
yeah,
do that. Then when you're present with your family, you're present with your family, and have an activity as soon as you get home. Like right now, my daughter's learning how to write her letters. So sitting down and being intentional with her and writing those letters out with her is a good way to like completely disconnect from work and be present with her. And not every day will be perfect,
yeah.
right? Like there's sometimes you are working late because there's deadlines approaching. Um, but try to have the end of day wrap up would be my biggest suggestion.
Okay. All right. So again, for you all listening, notepad, take it down. So first thing first is you're creating your calendar and you're putting your personal time in first. And that's something Gary used to say all the time. Like, put your vacation, your family time first. Then that lets you know how many working days you have in a year. And for us in the real estate industry and some other industries, entrepreneurs, that we don't have 365 days of work in a
Mhm.
year, right? We have vacation, weekends, holidays, kids out of school, kids get sick, you get sick. It's always something. So you put your personal time in first. Now you have a idea of how many working days you have left. And then you start putting the pieces together. And like you said, giving yourself a cutoff time. Like, hey, from this time to this time, it's work. So when it's time to work, I'm gonna work. That extra time, that's family time. When it's time to play, it's time to play.
Well, when you become personal or purposeful in the time allowed for activities, it's amazing what you can get done versus just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. It just doesn't work. If you're time blocking it and you have a list, I personally use the full focus planner. Love that thing. It kind of follows the 12-week model, but a
Yeah.
411 is just as equally as important. But you, like, every week, every Sunday morning before anyone is up in my house, I sit down with my cup of coffee and I plan for my week and go through everything. It takes about an hour, hour and a half. It'll take about 2.5 hours if it's a new quarter. Yet it sets me up for success for the week. And I get to look at like, okay, this day is really filled with appointments. So I need to make sure there's time, like a 3-hour period where I can do computer work, and just getting purposeful. And I think one other point to that too is not everyone's the same, right? Like I don't mind if on Saturday mornings I get up and do about an hour of computer work and stuff like that and kind of handle some things on the back end. I'm someone that does need some disconnecting time, but I'm not someone that has to take like the weekend completely off. I just need to do that about once a quarter to have like 3 days of like I'm off. Some people, they truly need every single week at least to have a day off. So understand yourself and build a calendar that protects that time that you truly need so you can be successful through the rest of the week.
All right, y'all got that. So again, we're taking notes and you're plugging and playing how that can work for you, right? What have you learned about yourself with, being an entrepreneur, being a CEO? What have you learned about yourself?
You can't be a people pleaser and you will not please everyone. And I think that honestly was the hardest thing for me to accept.
Yeah.
And yet one of the biggest areas that I grew in and being comfortable with that. I have my amazing network of, people around me that will support me and challenge me and call it as it is.
Yeah.
And they help me get out of that pattern of being a people pleaser. So I definitely think that's probably been the biggest thing I've realized about myself and the biggest change I've seen. And I think a lot of self-doubt is gone. This is, it's challenging. Like I said, I had those days where I didn't, I was like, I can't do this. And I can. Anyone can do this. It's just, it's honestly the baby steps every single day that you take that will make the biggest impact. And just always do everything with the, intention is my biggest thing, or not intention, integrity. Integrity is my biggest value. And that's where I lead with every decision.
Yeah. And you brought up QL Quantum Leap because that's where we met at the event. And that's a part of it is Quantum Leap is a small yet significant change, a small yet significant step.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like what you was talking about. And the other quote, I have it on my wall here in my office, is 1% better every day.
Yeah.
Like just 1% better. I don't have to hit a home run every time, but if I can at least get on first base, steal second, like just moving the pieces around 1% better every day. And then it's good. Once you have those small mile markers, you're not as stressed as if you're just looking at the end.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that shit is stressful.
It is. Well, and it's hard. Like, and for me personally, I have to do my GPS in quarters. I have tried the year-long GPS. And the biggest lie I tell myself is I have time then. And that's not true. So I was like, oh, that can wait till next week. And that's where I found myself getting in trouble. And as soon as I shortened it to doing a GPS per quarter, now granted, I know what my goal is for the year, right? Like I still set the goal for the year, yet every quarter I say, okay, what has to happen? Here's my GPS for this quarter to actually get there. And that has been the biggest thing. And my operations assistant, she does the same thing. I have her doing a quarterly one as well. So that way we can say, okay, these are the big things that are going to move the business forward as well. Because I think what happens is sometimes too with a year GPS, you come out of the gate hot, you accomplish one of those things, and then you're trying to get other things done. And really there's room for something else to get improvement on, or honestly, halfway through the year, goals kind of shift, the market shifts.
Yeah.
Doing it on a quarterly basis for me helps make corrections where needed, yet still hitting that yearly goal.
Yeah. And I want to use that same concept for personal life as well,
Mm-hmm.
because we always feel like we have time. We always feel like we have time. And this is where I'm going a little bit off script, but kind of on script of with the people we love, doing the things we love. Oh, go see this person next week. I'll go see that person next month. I'll call them next month. And because we think we have all this time and we don't
Mhm.
know how much time we have or how much time they have. So
No,
even if that is time blocking, okay, my key relationships, the people that I truly love and care about, I'm just going to call and check in on them. I'm just going to go see. And this is me talking to myself right now. I'm like, I don't even see you. I'm looking in the mirror like, bro, pick up the phone, reach out to people you haven't reached out to in a while. Talk to them because you can't keep putting those things off. So it's again, we're talking about business with this, but I did want to add in that layer of personal with it of spending time with the people you want to spend the time with, do the things you love to do because we can't keep putting things off.
well,
But
take the trip. Like that was actually this was just relevant for me. Is my best friend in the whole world? Her sister is getting married, and her sister extended the invitation to her bachelorette party. And it's at the same time that the adult QL is happening. And I kind of was like having this conflict because I was like, well, I really should go to this. This is business, business, business. And it finally came down to, okay, this is not an opportunity that comes around all the time. I have taken QL. It's not like I don't know the material, obviously. And so I made the decision to go on that. And part of me was like, well, I can't stay the whole time because I do have a conference the following week. And it's like, you know what? No, I can fly home a day early. Like that's
yeah,
manageable and they're okay with it. And I'm going to take that trip because these are people I care about and I get to have some girl time, which is sometimes a very needed thing in the mom world.
yeah. It's funny because again, when we talked about earlier how our decompression time sometimes can be scrolling TikTok, and
Mhm.
I was scrolling TikTok and I came across a lot of videos like that. Like, hey, I might not have all the money in the world, I might not have this or that, but guess what? I have these experiences. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I might not be doing this, but I'm finna go on a plane and go to a new country, or I'm finna go and spend time with with my girls because I haven't been able to see them. I love them. It's like having that time. Take that trip, like you said. Go this. Oh well, I don't know about the money. You can always make money again, but that time, that experience, those memories with the people you love and care about, you can't always make that up.
Yeah.
They print money. They don't print time. Like you can't get that. So I love that. Like take the trip, do the things. You know.
Yeah. And can I take that and also kind of spin it a little bit too with
Yeah.
that? Is I think the biggest thing is that, especially like as entrepreneur people, like in our industry, we love to help people, right? Like that
Yeah.
is so true what we want to do. And being a mom, it takes a lot out of you, being a wife, everything else. Like it takes a lot out of you. And so make sure you also do something for yourself. I think so many people think it's selfish and they're like, oh, you don't have to do that. To me, my morning workout is the most important 45 minutes of my day. Without it, I'm on edge. I didn't give myself the time to take care of me. And that's just, it's so important. And also just taking time also to just better my health in general because when I am healthy I'm able to give so much more. I had to go through a really rough health journey last year. On top of everything, last year was a big growth year, and a lot of people I had a couple of people tell me they didn't believe it was true until they saw how much better I was just doing and how much better I just looked in just general, like how my glow came back after going through this health journey. You've got to take care of yourself. If your body is screaming for help, go take those doctor's appointments, go read some nutrition books, um, go take a walk. Like you don't have to do intensive workout, but do something for yourself at least once a week. So that way you can show up better for everybody else because you will.
And yeah, yeah. I have been on that for. I've been on the health kick for a while, but the medical situation I had at family reunion in Vegas in February, medical situation I had at the beginning of May, it's like, okay, yeah, it got to take it to another level now
Mhm.
because we're all getting older. We are not
What?
able. We're not able to bounce back. I was gonna say me, but people hate when talk about myself like that. Yeah, we're not able to bounce back from situations the way we used to, and our bodies change. So again, yeah, that's big. Taking care of ourselves, and for you all that listen all the time, we talk about that almost every episode. What are you
Mm,
doing for you? How are you refilling your cup? How are you keeping your battery pack full to be able to be the best mom, to be the best wife, husband, father, sister, brother, business owner, realtor, like how are you taking care of yourself? Because the only way that we can show up and give our all to the people, we have to make sure we're giving our all to ourselves. And that's a very big thing that we have to do.
yeah. Well, and I think too, and part of my health journey too is listening to my gut because I had one doctor tell me one thing and I went, no. And did a lot of research. And I took time for myself to step away from the business to really dig in and read up and challenge it to find the best solution for myself.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked back. And I'm grateful I did that because I have more energy now and I am just showing up so much better, not just for, my family and my daughter, but also for my business. My clarity in my brain is just huge to be able to make faster decisions that are better for the business.
Yeah, that's good shit. I'm glad. Yes. We have to listen to our gut. We have to. It's that instant. We have to listen to that. We
Yeah.
have to. We have to. For you all, you have to. Your gut is not wrong a lot of the times. Like that instinct is not wrong a lot, right?
Nope.
I want to ask you this question. So again, I'm going off script because it's just how I am. I've been having a lot of conversations with people, and it's it used to be a problem, but it's turning into a very big problem now. And how are you managing comparisons like
Mm.
online? Like everybody's posting highlight reels, everybody's posting the amazing things they're doing, and they leave out a lot of the bullshit that is going on. But they just always post all these amazing things. Does that um, is that some of the things that affects you as a business owner, really getting your business off the ground? And if so, how are you handling that?
So I would say definitely the comparison game used to be something I struggled with. Um, Slightly different that like I would see someone doing something, I'm like, oh, I want to do that. That's amazing. But like, right, you can't master everything. So being very clear about what I actually want to do and knowing my purpose has actually helped avoid some of that.
Mm,
Don't get me wrong. I do see like I follow a lot of, transaction coordinating companies to kind of see what they're doing. There's a community on Facebook that I'm part of. And there are times I'm like, wow, wow, I want to do that one day. Like, how did they do this? Um, a good reminder for me was actually was it March or April? We had transaction coordinating awards here in Colorado and we made top five.
oh, okay.
And yeah, it was really awesome. And I realized that all the other companies, and it was funny because they only announced who first, second, and third were. So I don't know if we were fourth. I don't know if we were fifth. So that was cool. So I would love to say which one it was. I'm not sure. Yet the other four companies that we were running against for the top five spot were companies that had at least been around for 7 years. And at that point, we were 18 months old. And it made me realize, like, okay, if I actually do things with purpose, intention, and truly to what I want to do, I don't have to compare myself. And I think honestly, it truly does tie back to your mission and understanding your purpose. Because if you do that, then everything else you see doesn't matter. Because, for instance, if you're a real estate agent and you see, the Loken team was a team in Texas that, like, I have just They are dear to, and near to my heart. I love them. And
Yeah.
they do a boatload of transactions every single year.
Yep.
And as a solo agent or someone that's on a smaller team, that's just not feasible. It's not, unless if you purposely want to build that business like that. So I think you have to also ask yourself, like, is that really what I want? And it is hard because we don't see what they go through
Yeah.
at all. And to that point of not seeing what other people go through is I've been very honest about where my journey is, and the struggles that I've had to go through. And I think if you're honest and vulnerable with people about that, obviously you're not making it a sad story. You're not trying to make it be like, woe is me, like more of an empowerment statement. You realize what you're overcoming and what you're truly building. And so many people have been through that. Even the people that you like look at, you're like, wow, they're so amazing. How do they do that? I'll never be that. Well, maybe you're actually already doing what they've experienced when they were at the same point too. So it's hard because I feel like I definitely used to really have a hard time with that, especially imposter syndrome, like just walking into a
Yeah.
room feeling like I shouldn't be there because partially because of my age, and realizing there's zero reason for that. And that's also been one of the biggest growth things in the past year is that my path is my path. What I want is what I want. And that's okay. And if I'm really unsatisfied with it, that I truly am comparing myself to everywhere else, I need to figure out where that's coming from and change a habit or a mindset.
You know what? I love that you said that. And your race is your race. Like
Mhm.
you're running a race. Yes, technically you are racing against other people, but your race is your race. It's what you're doing. Are you catching your stride? Are you like it's what are you doing? It's not what the other person is doing. And their timing is different than your timing. Right? Another conversation I had before hopping on for us to record is I'm like, your timing is your timing. Things is gonna show up when they're supposed to show up for you. You're not on other people's time. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what their thing is. So I love that you were aware of that and like and you looked at the bigger picture, right? You looked at it from a whole and not just having the blinders on. You looked at it like, well, wait a minute. We're only 18 months old and these other companies are 7 years in. Like, holy shit, like, wait a minute. It's that perspective for like, wow, okay, we're on the right track. So let's just, like you said, just stay focused on our mission, our vision, our values, and just keep doing what we're doing, and we'll get to where we're supposed to get to when we're supposed to get there.
Right. And I think there's, sometimes like viewing other things, seeing other things can spark ideas, spark motivation, that kind of stuff. So it's not like don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. But I mean, for instance, if you're a solo agent, what would, an additional 5 transactions do for you every single year? You're not going to go sell 2,200 homes by yourself.
Yeah.
That's just, if you figure that out, you'll sell a system and everyone will just be in awe. Like that would be amazing. Yet if you sold 20 homes, is that actually going to help you where you need to go, your lifestyle, your investments, and your dreams? And that's what I love about the business planning clinic is when they talk about the lid, because you're actually setting your intentions of what you actually need in life. And don't get me wrong, I do see stuff. Like I said, I see stuff sometimes and I'm like, oh, I have to have that internal conversation about, okay, no, but this is where I'm trying to go. This is what I'm trying to build. I don't just want to be any transaction coordinating company. I want to be the luxury of transaction coordinating.
Yep, it's setting what your mission is, what your value is, and that's what you're going off of, right? So I love that part, right? So as we are, going into wrapping up the podcast, I always like to ask my guests some closing questions, and I am going to ask it. I'm going to ask a few different ways, but it's kind of like the same question. What's one piece of advice you can give for moms who's looking to start their own business?
just focus on one big rock a day and focus on being intentional with the family at least for 2 hours every single day. I know it sounds ridiculous that it's only 2 hours, but give yourself 2 hours. It'll make a big difference. And set expectations with your family.
Ooh, big expectation. All right. Expectations is big across the board with your clients, with your employees, with your coworkers, with your family. Set those expectations up front. Next one. What is one thing you wish someone told you before becoming a mom and an entrepreneur?
What other people think does not matter. Live your purpose, live who you're supposed to be, and it'll be amazing how everything falls in place.
All right. What's one small thing you do every day to move forward?
Do my workout.
Yeah. Okay.
Honestly, that like, and for me, just kind of setting a personal challenge, like doing the intentional 90 right now is the best thing because it's making me better to show up better for everyone else. But I think each area, like I have one thing for me personally, one thing for my family, one thing for the business, one thing for the team that I'm also on. So just doing that every single day.
Well, I so before I wrap it up and close it out, I always bring this up. Shout out to my homie Agent K Kaleo Kana from Virginia. He always say that you need three people in your life. You need one person that helps pull you up. You need one person that you are next to going through things with, and then you reach down and you pull people up, right? And I feel like with you last year at QL Summit, it was me pulling you up, and now we're on the same step on the ladder, and we're supporting, motivating each other. And now with the conversation we had, you are helping pull people up. So I just look at how amazing that is, and again, just going back to just sharing how proud of you I am that it went from last year I was able to pull you up, and now we're locked in, arm in arm on the same step, moving up the ladder, and you're simultaneously helping pulling other people up. So I just want to say for you that I love the growth. I love what you're doing. Keep kicking ass. Keep believing in you and what you're doing and not worried about what other people think. You are doing it great. You're on the right track, and I am so proud of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, everybody. This is Coach Coleman, Jesse Coleman, and thank you for checking into another episode of Breakthrough Blueprint, the podcast where we help you tap into your full potential. I will see y'all next week, and peace.